these people have actually stabbed somebody. Someone's actually lost their son, and we're all singing about it. Let's say he's a guy who's 7 out of 10 lyrically, but you can tell or you know stories that he's rapping about. It is what he's rapping about is real. It always hits more. I was driving the AU car. They gave us hoodies, gave us alcohol. We've got like banners together now with like Dope and AU's logo on. I'm on YouTube looking like, what are Starbucks doing? What are McDonald's doing? What's like Apple doing? What's Facebook doing? Even though they're nothing to do with us, you can take inspiration from these big businesses. When you apply it to what you're doing, you can be ahead of the game.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Insight with the Podcast Club. Can you tell me who you are, where you're from, and what you do, please?
Thank you for having me on. It's DJ Adek. I'm from a small town called Widnes, which is just outside of Liverpool. I'm a DJ, A&R, event promoter, and just overall entrepreneur.
I want to take it back to the early days, and I want to kind of find out what it was like for you growing up, where you grew up. You said it was a small town. So take me back to that place and how that was for you.
Yeah, so very small town, population about 60,000, I think, last time I checked. So in terms of growing up, I guess it's just one of them small towns where there's not a lot going on. There's not like a lot of opportunities. There's not like too many famous people that like grew up close to you that you can be like, oh, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. Do you know what I mean? Not very multicultural. I was pretty much the only like non-white person in primary school, high school. I think there was one girl actually in primary school who I actually saw the other day. Funnily enough, she's Chantal Kroll. She plays for things like England women's rugby team or something, and she did like a BBC documentary the other day. She was talking about a similar thing, how it was like very difficult. She actually posted up a picture of like our school photo, and I was on it. But I think other than me and her, we were like literally the only non-white kids in the school. So yeah, it was one of them places where, like I said, there's not a lot going on. It's one of them places that people kind of shy away from admitting that they're from. Like, especially if you're in Liverpool, if you say you're from Widnes, you get looked at like you've got 3 heads, or you're behind, or you're uncool. Do you know what I mean? It's literally not a place you want to be from. But I always just kind of just took it in my stride. I never got caught up on where I'm from because it doesn't really like define me. But where it's weird is if you imagine a lot of the people that are from that area look different to them, probably think different, maybe eat different food, listen to different music. So it's a little bit harder to fit in. But then when you speak to like other people, they're judging you based on where you're from. But it's like, I don't even feel like I'm from there, if that makes sense. So you're not getting accepted here, but then you're not really fitting in with where you're from, even though that's where you're getting judged on. Do you know what I mean? Like if you say to someone from Liverpool, picture the average person from Widnes, they're not probably looking like me or acting like me. So yeah, it's just one of them. But you can't really change where you come from. It's about where you're going, not where you're from. Do you know what I mean?
If I go back to the 14-year-old DJ Adek,
14.
Adek, what was your aspirations as a kid? Did you want to be a DJ and go into music, or did you have a complete different path planned in your head at that age?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if it would have been a DJ specifically, but I always wanted to be in the music industry. I remember back on, I think it was like Facebook, where it was something like you could put like who would be your dream girl, what would be like your dream job, your dream car and all that. And I think I put like record label owner. I think it was my girl at the time, like Ashanti or something like that. So yeah, I always knew like music was always an obsession. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes, I wouldn't mind if I walked home on my own or something. I would enjoy that because no one would bother me. I could listen to music. I always knew, you speak to other people and they'd be like, yeah, I like music. But I always knew like I loved it. I couldn't imagine a life without it. So I knew it would have to be something within music, if that makes sense. And then DJing was just the thing that was my entry in.
Was there a lot of influence in music in your family? Did you have like siblings or parents, or was there always music playing, or Where does your love for music come from, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's Nigerian, my mum's English, but my mum was always into like black music or urban music, if you want to call it. I remember she had like Foxy Brown's CDs and like TLC, Aaliyah, and like she was into good music. My dad, yeah, he always used to like a lot of good music and stuff as well. I remember when Fat Joe Lean Back come out. I swear to God, yeah, we'd go on a journey and he would play that one song for an hour. So there's probably not like a syllable on that track that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there was a lot of music always playing. Music was like a quite a big part. Now I think back, yeah.
You mentioned some legendary artists and records there. On the spot, can you tell me who produced Fat Joe Lean Back?
Scott Storch.
Correct.
Come on, man.
Because you are a DJ, and we're going to get into that in a minute, I want to ask you this question. Do you think drill music has an impact on knife crime?
Oh, I'm trying to not sit on the fence with my answers. Yes and no. The reason I say yes is because to some element it's been like glorified, and some people are thinking it's, some of these songs, because a song is wavy, you don't actually realize like some of these people have actually stabbed somebody, someone's actually lost their son, and we're all singing about it. Do you know what I mean? Especially like where they're actually dissing each other. So when you think of it like that, it's like, it's almost like making us become a bit more, what's the word? Like someone being stabbed or someone being shot should be shocking. It should be. But we're almost being more, I can't think of the word, but people know what I'm trying to say. More of the, like people are making out like it's more normal and regular than it is. So to hear someone being stabbed in a song or whatever, it's not a big deal. Whereas if you've seen it in real life, it is a big deal. So it's been glorified in that way a little bit. But on the flip side, people are only rapping about their life. So these same people who moan at drill rappers, or any rappers, for example, talking about a certain lifestyle, go and fix the problem and the story will change. Do you get what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of rappers who, if you listen to their early stuff and you listen to their stuff now, there's Americans especially, they're not, Jay-Z's not talking about, stabbing people. He's talking about yachts and art and businesses, and listen to that 444 album. It's all like leveled up. It's almost like a TED talk. Do you know what I mean? But his older stuff, he's talking about selling kilos of coke. That's because his lifestyle changed. But a lot of these people, they don't want to help change the situation and make where these people live better, or open up these youth centres, or, do you get what I mean? Do something better for these kids, and they'd have something different to talk about. So it's a tough one.
On the same subject, there's a lot of rappers that have blew. And obviously I don't know, or we don't know who they are for a fact. But there is a lot of rappers that have blew, that have glamorised a lifestyle that they've never lived. And they've blew up over it. So what do you think about that? Because that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that, because a lot of people have like lost their life because of that, whether that's physically or being in prison. A lot of people have got like trauma over that kind of stuff. So to be lying, I have a problem with that. I've got my freestyle series, which we'll touch on. And when I'm looking at rappers that I want to work with, and rappers that I rate as well, yeah, people that I listen to, for me, they need to be real. Now, normally, when you say to people a real rapper, people instantly think, oh, gangster rapper, shoots people, sells drugs, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I mean. To me, real is just rapping about your life. So the reason we like Chris Brown is because you can look at him and yeah, this guy gets gal. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if you met Chris Brown and he was some nerdy guy who didn't know how to act around a girl. His whole music would just sound completely different. The reason it resonates is because we know that he gets girls. That's what he's talking about. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you're a rapper rapping about that life, like I'll always feel it from a rapper, even if let's say he's a guy who's 7 out of 10 lyrically, but you can tell or stories that he's rapping about. It is what he's rapping about is real. It always hits more. It's like when you watch a film and at the end it's like based on a true story. You're like, wow, that's sick because it's actually real. I think if more people would rap about their actual experience, it'd open up a whole new genre. Because how many people can relate to carrying a gun, selling keys of coke, robbing people, doing all that mad stuff? How many people can actually relate to that? Whereas how many people could relate to working a 9 to 5? I can't wait till Friday, my boss is an idiot, all that stuff. And I know it's not as cool, but way more people can relate to that. Do you get what I mean? Like there's a rapper called Quay or Clinch from London. Have you heard of him?
No.
Right, and I knew you wouldn't have done, yeah, but he's very good, yeah. He is, I think he's like an estate agent or something, or he's involved in property, yeah, and he raps on like drill beats, so it's wavy, it's hard, but he's talking about like, oh, show the guy around this property, blah, 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 and it's sick, and no one's doing it, do you get what I mean? So he stands out. So if I was to say to you now, the guy who raps about being an estate agent, it's only him. He's in his own lane, do you get what I mean? If I say to you the guy who raps about selling drugs and shooting people, there's thousands of names that come to mind, do you know what I mean? So I think people need to, and I know it's hard, it's easy for me to say, because obviously it is more glamorous and more cool to rap about that life. But I feel like people should just be more comfortable in their own skin and just rap about their true life, because people can relate to that a lot more if you're actually telling the truth, because if you've not lived it, it's not going to come across the same way. Do you know what I mean? You actually don't know what you're talking about.
Whilst we're on the topic of music, let's talk about DJ Adek.
Okay.
When did you realise that you wanted to take DJing full time? And how did that journey start for you?
Yeah, so in terms of like, I wanted to take it full time straight, like from day one, as you do. Do you know what I mean? Because it's good. When I was able to was obviously when the money started, when it made sense that I could make enough money. So yeah, I mean, been doing it for about 4 years in total. Now for me, when I first started, I never wanted to be the biggest DJ in the world. I never wanted to be the best DJ in the world. Even though I've always been obsessed with music, it wasn't something that I kind of ever thought would be my career. For me, my logical way of thinking was, I think I've said this in another interview, I used to be that guy that I couldn't step out without wearing all designer. I'd be walking around the club holding a bottle. Thinking back now, it's just so cringy, do you know what I mean? I see that guy and I think, oh, that used to be me. Had to have a table, had to have bottles with people that, wouldn't be there for me probably if I needed them. But that was me. So I was always spending all my money, all my time in clubs, and I loved it. Yeah, I did have a good time. So I thought, well, if I become a DJ, instead of leaving the club £300 down, if I can still be in the club because for some reason I'm hooked on this club thing, but I leave with money, then it's a win. Do you know what I mean? And that was literally all it was at the start. So when I remember the first time I got a little bit of money, it was like, oh my God, I've been in the club. I can't say I've not had a good night because I've controlled the vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes a DJ might play a few songs you like and then 5 you don't like. I've chose the music and I'm leaving with money. I was hooked. So that's all it was. And then once I got over that, then it was like, okay, I want to try and DJ in 5 cities. Did that. And I was like, I want to DJ in 10 cities. I want to do my own event. I want to do my own brunch. And it just became things that I wanted to do. Not necessarily because it was anything special, just because I hadn't done it. Do you know what I mean? When I get into something, I kind of want to tick off every box. So it's kind of just built on from there. So I think I can't really lose because I've already smashed the goal of what I wanted. So now it's just like I do something. So I just make a new goal until, I don't know, I do everything and then I'll do something else.
One of them new goals was obviously starting your own event.
Yeah.
Tell us about Dope.
Dope. So, believe or not, which nobody will know, Dope started as an under-18s brand, which sounds mad to say. It was under a different name. So what happened was there's a guy called Johnny who, I think he was from Sheffield, but he was like a uni student in Liverpool. He gave me one of my first ever bookings. So shout out to him. I think it was my first one, actually. About 6 months after that or something, he shouted me and he's like, yo, I want you to do this event. And it was at a club called Circo in Liverpool. It's closed down now. So I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. I'm on it. 2 days before the event, he's come to me, sent me the flyer. It turns out it's a DJ competition. It's not an event, it's a competition because it's at a nightclub. I'm thinking just a normal event. So anyway, I've gone along, done the competition. Things like me and 5 or 6 other DJs. So it wasn't like a massive one. There was like a DJ competition, breakdancing, rapping. There was all these things. I think it was in with like charity. I think a guy had been stabbed recently in Liverpool or something. So it was in conjunction with his like mum's foundation or something. We were raising money. So anyway, I won that competition. And at the end, there was like a kid who was in the breakdancing thing. He might have been 15, 16 at the time. He's come up to me and he's like, oh, can I take a picture of you? Can I add you on Instagram and all that? This is one of the first times it had ever happened to me. So obviously I was buzzing. Exchanged Instagrams, whatever, we kept in touch. He's asked me not long after to do his birthday party. I couldn't do his birthday party. I was already booked. So he's like, oh, he was gutted about that. Couple of weeks after, he's gone, it's my girlfriend's 17th or something. Can you do it? So I'm like, yeah. Done that. About 250 kids or something turned up. This girl must be super popular. I've done it. The mum's come up to me at the end. She's paid me whatever, and she's gone, oh, we really love that. It's my other daughter's birthday in a month. I can't have you at one and not at the other. And she said the club were trying to bring their own like in-house DJ for cheaper, but they must have been like listening to my mixes or knew who I was, but these were really like, no, we want you. So I was paying the extra money. So I was like, cool. So I got speaking to her, and she said something, and this is where it's like, if you're a hustler and you hear something, you can turn it into something. So she said to me just in passing, not even thinking anything, she's gone, the venue owner said to me, I could pay £500 for the venue, or I can have it for free, but the kids have got to pay a £5. Because obviously the venue's not going to make no money off alcohol. It's all under 18s. So I was like, wait. Go back. I said, these kids are paid a £5 each to get in here. There was like over 200 of them. So I'm like, hang on a minute. This is a birthday. If you don't know the person, you're not going to come to the birthday. If you don't get on with the person, you're not going to come. Straight away, I said to that kid who I met at the breakdancing thing, I said, yo, listen, we've got an opportunity here. You're the promoter. You know all these kids. I'm the DJ. Let's make bread, right? Fast forward, done the event. Well, no. Promoted the event, marketed it and all that. We sold about 300 tickets. And there was loads of kids that were going to pay on the door. Obviously not got bank cards. My mum won't let me pay online. Can we pay on the door? I reckon we were doing about 500 people, right? Now, I don't know whether it was either the day we went into lockdown or the day that you weren't allowed to do gatherings over a certain thing. But I'll never forget it was a Saturday, right? So the very first, as I said, either first lockdown or first thing where you can't do events was a Saturday. That was the day of that event, right? Event couldn't go ahead. And I'm thinking, it is just my luck. I had loads of money sat in the Skiddle account I couldn't touch. And I'm thinking, wow, it would have been nice to get that event over the line because we're not going to be able to do anything for God knows how long. Had to refund the money. Didn't go ahead. Spent money marketing it, promoting it, graphic design, all that stuff went to shit. Left it. Now, when we come out of lockdown, I'm thinking, I've got this page. I've got all these kids that, not really kids anymore, want to come. What can I do? So I was like, hang on, so these 16, 17-year-olds, they're probably like, 18, 19, whatever now. I'm thinking, a student event, 2 years on, they're all probably students. Rebranded it, remade the name, called it Dope. And I originally shouted DJ Smiley, because me and him used to do events together. Shout out to Smiley. And he was on it. He got the idea. He basically said, I've not really got the time to commit to something weekly. Obviously, he's based in the Midlands as well, so it probably wouldn't have even worked out now thinking back. But he was the only person that I'd ever really done any events with. I didn't really trust anyone. Kind of just like the mindset I had from my life before. If you don't know somebody, you don't really speak to them, you don't really trust people. I don't know if it's insecurity or arrogance, but you don't really want to. Yeah, you don't really want to reach out to people. You want to do everything yourself. He was the only guy that I trusted. So I met Rohan through him, who was at uni at the time, who lived in Manchester, so obviously a lot closer to me. So I don't know if he said, why don't you shout Rohan, or I shouted Rohan, but either way, I've shouted Rohan. I told him the whole story, the plan. And, thinking back now, it's a blessing that it was me and him, as I said, because Smiley didn't go uni, I didn't go uni. Rohan knows it, all this Freshers Week and reading week and all this stuff, how students even think, I don't know, because I've never been a uni student. So me and him started. We started on a Wednesday at Modo in Liverpool, it's a good club, but it's more, people go there more for the location. It's like if you go to Liverpool, you go Concert Square, it's just one of them places that you end up, you don't necessarily it's not like a destination. So we started there on a Wednesday, and it was more, we initially wanted it to be like exclusive, bougie, high end, but with it being a Wednesday, the venue we were at, it was hard to do. So we kind of changed it to more mass. It was like £1 tickets, £3 tickets, cheap drinks and that kind of thing, fully student-based. And then we did that for about a year, did well, made a bit of an impact in the city. And then we moved to Pure. So we moved it from a Wednesday to a Friday. Pure is like an out-and-out R&B club. It is very high-end, bottle show kind of focused club. Obviously, with it being a Friday, you can still attract students, but you can attract, your regular, everyday person. So it just made sense to do that. And then, yes, we were doing it at Pure for quite a while. It was going really well. And then we got an offer from the promoters at Club Live in Manchester to do like a one-off kind of like collaborative event with them. And that was like, again, that made a big impact in the city. Like I remember we went for a meal before and they showed us their Fat Soma, and they were always doing well. They were smashing it. But I think that night we did together, it was like double what they'd ever done. I'm not saying that was because of us. I think people like something new, don't they? So it did really well. And I think the other clubs in Manchester maybe felt the impact of it that night. So we then got an offer from China White to basically do it on a more permanent basis through Rohan's connection of being like a resident DJ there. And I guess, the rest of the history. So we've done 3 at China White Manchester already. We've got a 4th one on the 23rd of December, and we're doing China White Birmingham tonight, and that's why I'm here. So it started from nothing, literally a under-18s event to a student event, to now we're doing it at, some of the most renowned clubs in the UK. So if you'd have said that to me when I started it then, and I thought I took an L when the under-18s thing flopped, like, this is way better. Do you know what I mean? So it just goes to show it's not an L. It's how you bounce back from it. Because I could have heard what that woman said and not seen the opportunity. Or when the under-18s thing flopped, I could have just felt sorry for myself and gone, oh, whatever, I'll do something new. But I knew I didn't want to waste it. Do you know what I mean? So you just have to make the most out of stuff.
Life's all about taking the opportunities that are put in front of you. So
yeah,
congratulations to you and Rohan on the success of Dope events.
Thank you.
I've seen something on your Instagram, and you're stood in front of an AU vodka car.
Oh, yeah.
Is that to do with Dope?
That is to do with Dope, yeah. So basically, how did we come into conversation with them? I think they've got like sales reps. So I think one of their sales reps, Gab, he followed Dope. And with me, again, some things are opportunities that are clear opportunities, but sometimes I'll try like make an opportunity out of something. So I think he's probably just followed the page, not maybe even thinking anything out of it. I didn't really ask him. But I think straight away I've just jumped in the DM like, yo, is there any way we can work together? Do you know what I mean? I'd rather shoot the shot and nothing come of it than not. So we were on their radar for a while. We were talking about different things. Would they sponsor an event? And we kept in contact, but nothing really came off. And then I was in Manchester meeting with like another club about me DJing there. And I think I overheard, we've got one of the AU guys in. I didn't really even see this guy's face because it was just all pictures of AU on the profile. So I've said to him, do you know Gab? I've been speaking to like one of your representatives. Turns out it was him. So some things are just meant to be. So we got speaking. The fact that we then met in person made it a bit more real. We were a hell of a lot further on than when he initially followed us. Do you know what I mean? So he'd obviously seen the growth of what we were doing. They wanted to get into Club Live, which we'd just done recently. They wanted to get into China White, so we kind of had something that they could get potentially off us. We didn't promise them anything, but before it was all the leverage was on their side. We couldn't really offer them too much because they're already impure. So the relationship started, and then we met up. I was driving the AU car. They gave us hoodies, gave us alcohol. We've got like banners together now with like Dope and AU's logo on. And it's just like, it's only the start of something, but it's obviously a really good brand to be aligned with. I genuinely do drink it. Obviously, big fan of Charlie Sloth being a DJ, but I rate him even more just as an entrepreneur. I don't think people realize how smart that guy is. Like, what he's doing is actually like it's classic. I think he proper studies business. Do you know what I mean? He's ahead of the game. Like, he's ahead of the game.
Have you watched his Diary of a CEO interview with Stephen Bartlett?
Of course, I have.
Inspiring stuff.
Yeah, he's a G. Like, one of the things I think that is like leading to Dope doing well. Like, I'm not saying we're the biggest thing in the world or where we want to be, but we're doing okay. Is because I've took a lot of this from Charlie Sloth. I don't think he looks at himself as a DJ. He looks at himself as like a businessman first. And we don't really treat Dope like it's an event brand. We treat it like it's a business. So when I'm taking inspiration for like our next business move or what direction we want to go in, we're not looking at what event promoters are doing. We're really not. I'm on YouTube looking like, what are Starbucks doing? What are McDonald's doing? What's like Apple doing? What's Facebook doing? Even though they're nothing to do with us, you can take inspiration from these big businesses. When you apply it to what you're doing, you can be ahead of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, the plans, obviously I'm not going to give them away, but the plans that we've got for this, it's like the events is literally like the start of it. Do you know what I mean?
But it's really good to see that you've turned your life from a negative situation into a positive one. You've used all them entrepreneurial skills that you learned in the wrong way to put into the real world and the right way. What's the plans for the future?
Plans for the future is I want to do more like international DJing. So I was in Malta last week. I love that. I'm hoping to go back there next year. I've got like a couple of personal goals that I want to tick off. So I want to do like more festivals, more international bookings. Obviously take Dope to the next level, like new cities and stuff like that. Following on from maybe when I'm not DJing anymore, I always want to be involved in the music industry. So I'd like to maybe have my own label. Obviously take Bars on Lock to the next level. Basically everything I'm doing now, but instead of maybe doing events, I'd own the club. Instead of putting out like freestyles on YouTube, I'd be putting out like singles on iTunes. So just everything like elevated on another level, basically.
So we'll leave all the links for your Bars on Lock and your events in the bio of this podcast. So for anyone that wants to tap in further, they can.
Thank you.
Just before you leave us, give us one quote that you live by.
See, you tried to help me and you said this before, didn't you? But I'm trying to think. Okay, do you know
No
what?
pressure.
No. I'll say one because I say this to Rowan all the time, and it's a Rick Ross saying, and we kind of live by it. So he says, let me just make sure I say it right. So he says, if it's my money, I want all of it. If it's not mine, I don't want a penny of it. And that might sound super simple, but what it basically means and how I translated it is, especially in like in the business world, people can use a clause in a contract or terms and conditions, or they'll try and act dumb to have you off. You have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to be very careful. So what he's saying is, if it's your money and you've earned it, don't be afraid to like speak up and back yourself and fight for your money. Do you know what I mean? Which, like, not saying anyone I'm working with now tries to have me off, but you have to be on job. Do you know what I mean? You can't just be trying to get drunk and bottles and all that. No, you're a business person. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, he says, if it's not mine, I don't want a penny of it. So I would never like have someone off for a penny. It's not worth it. Do you know what I mean? There's enough money to make if you work hard enough without having to do anyone wrong. Do you know what I mean? So me and Rowan, like, he might pay for something, I'll pay for something. You know, we're dealing with thousands of pounds, but there's no worry. Do you know what I mean? Of like, I literally wouldn't take a penny off anyone. And I think that's, you know, important to live by.
You need that in business. You definitely need that in business. Sure. I've enjoyed chatting to you today. So
thank you, bro.
Thank you for coming down.
Pleasure.
That was DJ Adek. You've been watching Insight with the Podcast Club, and we'll see you again soon.